So apparently in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's House of Commons, the term wacko is being treated like a four-letter word. Obviously, the Liberals have become so sensitive to any criticism. Now the Speaker of the House, Greg Fergus, who's an obvious Liberal Party hatchet man, is ejecting Pierre Poilievre from the House of Commons for calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau a wacko Prime Minister. And even when he then swaps in the word radical instead of wacko, that still wasn't good enough, and Greg Fergus had him removed, and rightfully so. All the Conservatives just walked out with Pierre Poilievre, because obviously discussions aren't being allowed to happen in the House of Commons. Again, I understand the idea that you shouldn't be swearing in the House of Commons, you shouldn't be using very vulgar language. Wacko's like saying crazy. Who cares? If you can't handle being called crazy, you got to get out of politics. But of course, Justin Trudeau can't handle any criticism. But just watch this clip. It's quite amazing.
Transit. When will we put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister?
No. That is not there are a couple of things which are going on here today, which is not acceptable. And I ask all members, please, to keep themselves, to control themselves. I'm going to ask two things. One, I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to withdraw that term, which is not considered parliamentary.
Just to remind everyone, Justin Trudeau in 2013 literally cried out in the House of Commons one time, "Oh, you pieces of stuff." You fill in the blank there if you want. So the idea that we're all like clutching our pearls, and I see so many legacy media journalists doing this right now, clutching their pearls. Oh, it's so childish. Why are they degrading the House of Commons? What are you guys talking about? Obviously, other people have used far more intense language. And if this is considered too intense, I don't think Parliament can work anymore. What, do we now have to have mandated compliments for the Prime Minister every time you stand up to say something? Because that's the direction you're moving in if wacko is too much for you. Well, let this keep going. It gets quite silly.
Speaker, I replace wacko with extremist. He is an
The honourable member to please. I'm going to ask the Leader of the Opposition once again to just withdraw that comment, please. And I'll invite the honourable member. I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to please withdraw that comment and simply withdraw that comment.
It's just so silly.
Radical policy.
I am not asking to replace. I'm asking the honourable member to just simply withdraw.
The problem with this simple withdraw is he's basically saying stop saying negative things. Because if the term was unparliamentary behavior and I swap it in with a more generic term like extremist or radical, and that's still not good enough, I have to withdraw the entire comment. You're saying the entire comment is unparliamentary. That I can't say, when can we have enough with this radical Prime Minister, this wacko Prime Minister, the extremist Prime Minister? The whole point is that the entire thing is considered not good enough by Greg Fergus. And yes, all the speakers always come from the governing party, but they're usually not this stifling in what people can say. I generally like the UK Parliament better than ours because you can kind of say whatever you want, and I think it's good. You should be able to jeer a little bit because I think it lets people blow off a little bit of steam, be able to say what they want rather than having this very oddly prim and proper way of addressing the Prime Minister. And I have issues with what he's doing. And it doesn't matter how crazy what the person's doing. You're like, I have some deep concerns with what's going on. But this is even going way over and above it. And this is called the Streisand effect, is that when you keep trying to block Poilievre from saying something pretty mild, it just brings attention to the fact of that you guys are so sensitive.
Mr. Speaker, I replace the word wacko with extremist.
I'll skip ahead, I know. Oh,
One last
never mind,
time.
I skipped ahead.
Thank you.
By the way, thank you for pulling Canada for clipping this for me. Doing all the clipping is incredibly annoying.
Withdraw that comment and simply withdraw that comment.
I simply withdraw and replace with the aforementioned adjective.
Mr. Poilievre, I have to name you for disregarding the authority of the chair. Pursuant to the authority granted to me by Standing Order 11, I order you to withdraw from the House and from any participation by video conference for the remainder of this day's sitting.
And of course, then the Conservatives go out to the hall and they do a lot of media, and the Liberals just handed them this win. And I know some people who are like, I still don't like this. It feels like a little bit of some attention-seeking type behavior. Well, if the attention-seeking requires you just to say wacko, and the chair is going to flip out, you can't say that. You had to withdraw the entire comments. Don't say negative things. Well, I guess it's well-earned attention because you've done literally not a thing wrong, and they couldn't handle themselves. Right now, the Liberals are trying to pass their budget, and they could have just let this slide, and they would have had a much easy breezy time passing this budget. There would have been no bumps in the road. Yes, there would have been jeering. Yes, there would have been people criticizing the budget, but they would have been able to pass it without too much incident. Now, the entire budget day is about the fact that they can't even handle the word wacko being applied to Justin Trudeau. And the context of that was Pierre Poilievre criticizing British Columbia Premier David Eby and Justin Trudeau's shared drug policy because they're both in favor of decriminalization, since Trudeau keeps extending grants to different jurisdictions to decriminalize and not enforce drug laws. So he's done this for the city of Toronto, and he's done this for all of British Columbia, and it's been an absolute disaster. Even BC Premier David Eby's trying to walk it back now. And when I say walk it back, I mean he's like, can you not do meth in the park? Can you do meth over on the sidewalk instead? Like nothing. There's not a thing he's actually done to actually improve things in British Columbia. And David Eby doesn't enforce the law. So any new law he comes out with saying, please guys, inject heroin outside of the bus shelter, it's not going to be enforced because David Eby doesn't care. And so Poilievre is calling him a wacko for backing policies to hand out free drugs from the government for safe injection sites, for other sorts of whatever type of safe supply programs and other sorts of intervention programs where the state basically has people out in the streets just reviving people but never actually pushing them into getting treatment. Nuts stuff. And this is all playing into Pierre Poilievre, rightfully so, that he's an actual law and justice guy, and Justin Trudeau is clutching his pearls, and the Speaker, Greg Fergus, are clutching their pearls over the fact that the Conservatives don't want to give out free drugs to people. They don't want drugs getting into the hands of children. They want to arrest people and hold them in prison for dealing drugs for violent crimes and whatnot. It's only making the Conservatives rightfully look good that they can't just let this slide, because they're a government who is so desperate and so in need of wins that they are actively giving wins to the Conservatives, falling all over themselves, trying to stop negative news and speech from happening. This is why they're effectively trying to extort Facebook into giving them $56 million a year just to platform Canadian news, because they're asking Facebook strategically for way too much money, because they actually don't want Facebook to pay up, because what is another $56 million going to do for the CBC, CTV, and Global? They're all bankrupt. Nobody watches them. They have no effect. Justin Trudeau just passed Bill C-18 because I think he was hoping that Google wouldn't pay up either, because he wanted as little news online as possible, because all the news is bad for him these days. There's a new poll out showing the Liberals down 20 points on the Conservatives, and the Conservatives are at 44%. That's crazy. And I think in turnout, the Conservatives might be up to 50%, because that's just people on the phone telling you who they'll vote for. That doesn't mean you're going to show up. And if you think it's a lost cause election, you're definitely not showing up, like a lot of Liberals I've talked to who they're like, oh, I don't like Poilievre, but I don't really care about showing up to protect Justin Trudeau anymore. Happens a lot. When people, even if they don't like the Conservatives, they're not showing up for the Liberals because the Liberals haven't done anything. And they think that the Liberals are a dead vehicle and a dead party. Anyways, this was such a silly moment. I loved covering it. I'll be back with another video soon, but I'll quickly plug the fact that Wyatt Claypool, am running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. I actually live in this riding. It's on the west side of Calgary. So if you want to vote for someone who actually lives in the riding and is someone who's actually conservative, vote for me, number 1 on your ballot. Go check out my website, wyattclaypool.com, and make sure you have an up-to-date federal Conservative Party membership. And then if you are somebody who watches a lot of our videos and you want to contribute to our legal fund, we also have the Give, Send, Go link in the description of the video if you want to contribute anything to helping us protect ourselves from frivolous lawsuits like the one that we have going from a billionaire developer suing us for defamation, which he has provided no evidence of after more than 2 years of suing us. We will win this case, but he's trying to drag it out. And then also we have the TNT Telegram channel also linked in the description if you want to go click on that, because sometimes YouTube doesn't show you when we have new content. And by like subscribing, I guess, or joining the channel, you'll see all of the things that everyone from TNT who's associated with TNT does will be posted in order, usually 1 or 2 posts per day. So it's not going to overwhelm your notifications if you have notifications turned on for Telegram. Anyways, that should be it for me. Have a great one, everyone.